The villagers whispered as she passed, eyes cold and judging. Something terrible had happened last night, and fingers pointed only at her. Children avoided her shadow, fearing the stories that grew taller each day. Her own husband looked away, suspicion heavy in his gaze and silence. If stories like this speak to your heart, subscribe and sit closer. There is much more to hear. Ngozi walked slowly through the dusty streets of Umuahia, her worn wrapper brushing the ground, eyes alert yet tired, a quiet strength in her posture, neighbors murmuring as they passed by, unsure whether to greet or avert their gaze. Her small compound was crowded with the laughter of her children, 3 in all, each bright-eyed and mischievous, yet shadows of worry lingered in their smiles, as though even they sensed a storm quietly brewing beyond the ordinary days of village life. Ngozi's husband, Chaik, tall and stern, spent long hours at the market, rarely home before dusk, his voice sharp when he spoke to her, yet beneath the rough edges, a flicker of care sometimes shone through, confusing friends and neighbors alike. The sun baked the clay walls of neighboring houses, smoke from cooking fires curling into the air, and the market echoed with hawkers' cries. But behind this ordinary scene, whispers of suspicion about Ngozi began to circulate, unseen by many but sharp in the ears of a few. Her eldest daughter, Amara, often helped her mother grind yams and fetch water, her small hands clumsy yet determined, eyes wide with curiosity, sensing unspoken tension in the adults' conversations, and sometimes asking questions that made Ngozi's heart ache silently. Neighbors often left packages at Ngozi's door, pity disguised as charity, while gossip traveled faster than any messenger, claiming she was cruel and heartless, even as her quiet sacrifices went unnoticed, leaving her resilience invisible to the very people she helped daily. Despite the heat and labor, Ngozi maintained a calm, careful demeanor, her braided hair neat and her sari modest yet tidy, offering an appearance of order and discipline, though inside she battled fears that the judgment of others might one day spill over into misfortune. At night, the compound hummed with cicadas and the soft murmur of prayers, Ngozi kneeling to thank God for another day of survival. Though in the shadows, the villagers' suspicions grew louder, a tension she could neither escape nor confront openly, waiting silently for the moment when life would test her further. One scorching afternoon, a neighbor burst into Ngozi's compound, eyes wide with panic, shouting accusations that her youngest child had vanished. Villagers gathering quickly, voices rising in fear and anger, pointing fingers as if blame could fill the empty air. Ngozi dropped her cooking pot, heart pounding, as she called for her children, trembling as the silence of the courtyard answered, her body stiff with disbelief and dread, unsure whether to cry, scream, or fight the rising hysteria. Chaik returned suddenly, sweat dripping from his brow, face ashen when he heard the news, rage flickering in his eyes, though doubt lingered, a storm brewing in the home as neighbors whispered, questioning Ngozi's care and loyalty, twisting suspicion into venom. The villagers circled like hawks, their whispers loud enough to sting. She is cruel. She neglects her children. Who knows what she has done? Their words cut deeper than the heat, leaving Ngozi gasping, heart shaking, feeling the injustice before proving her innocence. Amara clutched her mother's skirt, tears falling freely, eyes searching for hope in Ngozi's calm face, while Ngozi's hands trembled, lifting her chin with effort, speaking softly yet firmly. "My child is safe. I will find the truth. Do not fear yet." But the cries of accusation drowned her voice, fear spreading like wildfire, as a man shouted she had cursed the child, others agreeing without proof, and even Chaik's doubt grew, as trust began to fracture under the weight of panic and rumors. Ngozi ran toward the bush behind the compound, eyes scanning desperately, every rustle and shadow a potential threat, heartbeat loud in her ears, until she saw a small hand emerging from the tall grass, clutching a broken toy, revealing the truth hidden moments ago. Relief surged briefly, yet it was bittersweet, for the villagers' anger had already taken root, suspicion lingering, neighbors whispering, children pointing, and Chaik's silence loomed heavily, leaving Ngozi trapped between gratitude and dread, knowing proving her innocence would demand more than words alone. The village elders called a meeting, voices stern and accusing, demanding Ngozi explain herself, while neighbors stared with judgment, their eyes sharp as knives, making her feel smaller than the dust beneath her feet, unsure if words could save her honor. Chaik's gaze was cold, disappointment flickering in his eyes, his lips pressed tightly, refusing to defend her openly, leaving Ngozi feeling betrayed, the weight of both family and village suspicion pressing down, each whisper slicing through her courage like a hidden blade. Amara and her siblings clung to their mother, trembling, while others mocked them openly, taunting, "She is a wicked mother, see how her children suffer," fueling the village's fire, spreading doubt faster than any truth could reach, leaving Ngozi isolated and desperate. Ngozi tried to speak, her voice quivering yet determined. "Please, I beg you, do not judge before you see." But the crowd drowned her out with chants, pointing fingers, shaking heads, the sound of injustice echoing through the clay walls of the compound. Rumors grew like wild vines, claiming Ngozi had cursed the family, neighbors embellishing stories of her cruelty, while some children began to avoid her, and even her friends whispered cautiously, fearful that proximity might drag them into disgrace or misfortune. Each day, Ngozi rose before dawn to toil harder, feeding her children, tending the garden, and cleaning her compound, yet no amount of work could erase the suspicion, the invisible cloud of accusation following her footsteps, testing patience, courage, and faith simultaneously. One afternoon, Chaik's brother, Obi, openly challenged her, sneering, "If you truly cared for your family, this would not happen." And Ngozi's heart clenched, anger and fear mixing, knowing she must endure humiliation while seeking a way to prove the truth. Night fell, the compound silent except for whispered cries of children, Ngozi staring into the darkness, heart heavy, wondering how long suspicion would haunt her, knowing that even the kindest heart could seem wicked when surrounded by relentless mistrust and misunderstanding. A mysterious letter arrived at Ngozi's door, ink smudged and threatening, warning her to leave the village or face consequences, sending chills down her spine, shaking her resolve while neighbors whispered, eyes glinting with curiosity and barely concealed malice. Chaik avoided her in silence, his footsteps heavy with unspoken blame, each glance like a blade, and Ngozi wondered if the man she married could ever truly see her struggle, or if suspicion had poisoned even the closest bonds of family. Amara fell ill suddenly, fever burning her small body, and villagers muttered it was a curse, while Ngozi ran from healer to healer, pleading for her child's life, heart torn between hope, desperation, and the judgmental eyes of an unforgiving village. Obi spread rumors faster than fire could burn, claiming Ngozi's illness brought danger to the entire community, neighbors avoiding her compound, children teasing Amara cruelly, and even trusted friends whispering doubts that struck her deeper than any blow could manage. Ngozi worked tirelessly, carrying water and firewood under the scorching sun, yet the villagers' harsh glares followed her every step, each task a reminder that her integrity hung by a fragile thread, while unseen dangers and whispers grew more threatening with every passing day. Late one night, a shadow moved near her fence, figures whispering in the dark, sending fear coursing through her veins, leaving her questioning whom she could trust, every sound amplified, and every glance over her shoulder stirring both dread and determination. Chaik finally confronted her one evening, voice low yet sharp. I cannot ignore what I hear anymore. Ngozi, shaking with anger and worry, leaving her stunned, caught between defending her honor and protecting her children from both suspicion and familial fracture. The moon rose over the village, casting silver light on Ngozi's compound, highlighting the tense faces of her children asleep in fear, and she whispered prayers, heart aching with love and fear, knowing the storm had only grown, and the fight for truth was far from over. If this story is touching you already, subscribe and stay with us. The most important part is about to unfold. Ngozi sat alone in the dimly lit kitchen, tears streaking her face, listening to the wind whisper through the cracks of her home, feeling the crushing weight of isolation as suspicion and fear threatened to swallow her spirit completely. Her children huddled together, trembling, clutching one another silently, eyes wide with confusion, sensing their mother's worry, while Ngozi's chest ached with helplessness, knowing she could not shield them from the villagers' whispers or the dark shadows of false judgment. Chaik remained distant, avoiding her gaze, words unspoken hanging heavy between them, and each passing hour felt like a reminder that the man she loved now questioned her loyalty, leaving her heart bruised and her courage flickering dangerously like a candle in the wind. A sudden knock at the door startled her, and when she opened it, only darkness met her eyes, sending shivers down her spine, each creak of the hinges echoing in her mind, blending fear with the ache of hopelessness she could not shake. Ngozi wandered into the courtyard at night, moonlight illuminating her tear-streaked face, the village silent yet oppressive, every shadow feeling alive, and she whispered prayers for strength, unsure if anyone would ever believe her innocence or understand her heart's quiet sacrifice. Obi's mocking laughter seemed to echo from every corner, imagined or real, as she bent low to carry firewood inside, each step a battle against exhaustion, grief, and the relentless tide of suspicion threatening to drown her before she could fight back. Her youngest child's soft whimper pierced the silence, a reminder of fragile lives depending on her resilience, and Ngozi felt her heart split between despair and determination, realizing the only way to survive this storm was to summon courage she never knew she had. Sitting beneath the old mango tree, Ngozi gazed at the stars barely visible through the dust-filled sky, a quiet resolve forming in her chest, a promise that she would uncover the truth, restore trust, and protect her family, even if it cost everything. Late one evening, Ngozi discovered a hidden letter tucked beneath the floorboards, inked in a trembling hand, revealing that someone had been spreading lies about her, a revelation that ignited both anger and hope within her weary heart. Amara ran to her side, eyes wide with curiosity, and Ngozi whispered carefully, "We must be clever and brave, my child, for now the truth is in our hands, and it will shine brighter than all the rumors combined." The next morning, she visited the village healer, who revealed that Amara's sudden illness had natural causes, nothing to do with curses or neglect, the truth slowly unraveling, giving Ngozi the first glimpse of vindication that had seemed impossible only days ago. Chaik watched silently as Ngozi gathered proof, listening to testimonies from honest neighbors who had witnessed her sacrifices, realizing for the first time that his doubts had been fueled by lies, and shame flickered across his face under the harsh sun. Ngozi discovered that Obi had secretly coveted their land and spread falsehoods to create mistrust, the betrayal burning hot within her, yet she stayed composed, plotting to expose him carefully, knowing a rash reaction could worsen the situation and harm her family. Late at night, a soft glow appeared in her compound, revealing a neighbor who had feared speaking out, now offering crucial evidence. And Ngozi's heart swelled with quiet gratitude, realizing allies had existed all along, waiting for courage and truth to emerge. She called the children close, holding them tightly, whispering that the storm was ending, a gentle warmth replacing fear in their eyes, and for the first time in weeks, laughter returned, small and fragile, yet brimming with promise and renewed trust. Ngozi's resolve hardened as she planned the next step, proof in hand and courage rekindled, ready to confront the lies openly, her eyes gleaming with quiet strength, knowing that the moment of truth would not only restore her honor, but protect her family forever. Ngozi stood in the village square, evidence clutched tightly, while villagers gathered, murmurs rising like a storm, eyes darting between her and Obi, who sneered, realizing for the first time that his lies might finally be uncovered and punished. Obi, enough hiding behind whispers and falsehoods. Ngozi called, voice steady, though her heart raced. You spread lies about me and my children, but today the truth will shine, and your deceit will no longer harm anyone here. Obi's face twisted in fury, stepping forward, trying to shout over the villagers, but Ngozi raised her hand, calm and unwavering. Stop. You cannot frighten me with threats when your own actions are plain for all to see and judge. The elders leaned forward, reading the testimonies Ngozi had collected, whispers turning to gasps, some shaking their heads in disbelief, realizing how deeply the falsehoods had twisted the village's perception, and Obi's arrogance began to crumble under the weight of truth. Amara stepped forward bravely, holding her mother's hand, voice clear and strong. My mother has cared for us every day. She never neglected us, and we know the truth. Now you cannot lie to everyone anymore, father and villagers alike. Chaik's expression softened, shame and relief flickering across his face, and he stepped beside Ngozi, adding his voice, I was wrong to doubt you. Ngozi, the truth is here, and it is clear that you have only ever acted with love and courage. Obi trembled, realizing no allies remained, his lies crumbling under evidence and testimony. The villagers now turning toward Ngozi with respect and apology, and he stumbled backward, humiliated, finally understanding that deception had no power over a determined heart and revealed truth. Ngozi lifted her head, gaze steady, children at her side, villagers watching in awe, a mixture of remorse and admiration filling the air, and she spoke softly yet firmly. Let this be a lesson to all. Truth and love endure beyond fear and lies. Obi was summoned before the village council, forced to confess his lies publicly, face flushed with shame, and the villagers listened in stunned silence, realizing how much damage falsehoods had caused, finally restoring Ngozi's honor and dignity before everyone. The elders issued a firm warning, emphasizing respect and truth, while neighbors approached Ngozi quietly, offering apologies, small gifts, and kind words, a wave of relief washing over her as the village acknowledged her sacrifices and unwavering love for her children. Chaik took Ngozi's hand, eyes full of remorse, and whispered apologies for doubting her, promising to protect their family with renewed devotion, the bond between them stronger for surviving suspicion, fear, and the trials that had tested their marriage and faith. Amara and her siblings laughed freely once more, running through the compound without fear, the joy of innocence restored, while villagers watched quietly, learning that patience, courage, and persistence could reveal truth even when darkness and lies seemed overwhelming and permanent. Ngozi returned to her daily tasks, her strength renewed, carrying water and tending the garden, now greeted with smiles instead of whispers, realizing that justice had arrived not through anger, but through steadfast courage, proof, and a heart that refused to break. The village slowly healed, neighbors mending relationships and offering help where before there had been suspicion, and stories of Ngozi's resilience spread beyond the compound, inspiring others to act with courage, honesty, and compassion, ensuring that her trials were never forgotten. Obi left the village soon after, humiliated but wiser, and the community finally learned to judge with care, listen before assuming, and respect the quiet courage of those who endure, a reminder that malicious words could be defeated by truth and perseverance. As night fell on the compound, Ngozi sat with her children and Chike beneath the mango tree, stars above glimmering softly, a sense of peace settling over them, hearts light with love, and the village forever changed by the courage of one misunderstood mother. Months later, the village thrived with renewed harmony, and Ngozi's compound became a place of laughter, learning, and community gatherings, children playing freely while neighbors approached openly, showing respect, a quiet testament to the resilience of a heart misunderstood but never broken. Chike worked alongside Ngozi in the garden, their bond strengthened by trials endured, speaking softly of lessons learned, and she smiled, knowing love and patience could overcome even the deepest shadows of doubt and suspicion that had once threatened to tear them apart. Amara often recounted the story of her mother's courage to friends, her young voice filled with admiration, teaching that bravery and truth could silence gossip, restore trust, and that even the harshest judgment could not dim the light of a righteous heart. Ngozi spent evenings teaching village women skills and wisdom, sharing her story gently, inspiring others to speak truth, support one another, and recognize that acts of kindness and diligence often go unseen, yet they shape the world in ways whispers never could. The villagers learned humility, questioning before judging, and showing compassion instead of suspicion, a lesson etched into the community by Ngozi's unwavering integrity, proving that justice and honor are not given lightly, but earned through steadfastness, patience, and courageous perseverance against falsehood. Chike held her hand beneath the mango tree, watching their children chase fireflies, and whispered gratitude for her strength, realizing the trials had revealed the depth of her love, courage, and wisdom, qualities that no rumor or lie could ever erase or diminish. Even Obi's departure became a cautionary tale, a reminder that deception ultimately crumbles, and truth, though slow, prevails when guided by patience, evidence, and moral courage, ensuring that the village would remember Ngozi's story as one of hope and resilience. As the sun set over Umuahia, painting the sky in gold and amber, Ngozi looked on her family and community, heart full of quiet peace, knowing that sometimes the world misunderstands, but those who endure with love, courage, and integrity always leave a lasting legacy.